Not only is she a comedian, she was voted the 2025 sexiest librarian of Flagstaff. Nice and loud for Damaris!
Yes!
Thanks, everybody. Let's figure out the mic. Okay. Yes, my name is really Damaris. No, my parents didn't like me very much. And you know how they say birds of a feather flock together? I have 3 other friends with very unusual names, including another Damaris. No, her parents didn't like her very much either. They were very excited when I moved here because they want to come and visit so we can all go to the Grand Canyon and see the Grand Canyon. And I was like, cool. Then we can all waste time fruitlessly going around looking for things with our names on them. I did move here just a couple of years ago. I took the job as the deputy director of the library. Woo! Thank you. Shortly after I moved here, I went out and I bought a Subaru Outback.
Yeah!
I wanted to fit in with the locals. Unfortunately, though I really loved my Outback, I've had to trade it in because apparently in Flagstaff, if you drive a Subaru, people think you're a lesbian. And it is hard enough to meet a guy in this town. I surely do not need that assumption following me around. So I did join a couple dating sites. Quite interesting. The first person who messaged me was a woman to ask me if I had ever thought about dating women. I got a couple of dick pics, not good ones. I had a guy message me and ask me how much I weigh. I weigh enough to beat your ass. That's how much I weigh. And none of the guys on their profiles are smiling. So apparently no one has told them, don't you know, you would be so much prettier if you smiled. So I have pretty much decided that dating after 50 is like going to the thrift store and looking for the least broken thing that doesn't smell. I did recently just return from Disneyland. It was my first time at Disneyland. I've been to Disney World a bunch. And 4 days completely overstimulated. So like Disney is like the best cocaine that money can buy. You spend 4 days high as a kite. You come home and you crash and burn. The world's on fire. Life is awful. Gloom and doom. But it was still worth it. Several things I noticed while I was at Disney is how young some of the kids are that parents take to Disney that are completely, totally melted down, red-faced, and screaming. And you're like, why in the hell are you traumatizing your 3-year-old? And they're like, it's okay. They're enjoying the moment. Really? And we have pictures we can show them later. Dude, they're 3. Take them to the McDonald's playscape, and they're going to enjoy the moment. Then have your friend come to the park dressed up as a superhero or a princess, and then you have pictures. The other thing is how big the kids are that are riding in strollers now. And I'm not talking about kids that should be in strollers. I'm talking about 9, 10, 11 years old. My kids, you had to force them in a stroller, well, and a car seat. And you know, kids, when they don't want to go into something, they get kid strength, super strength. And for those of us who have kids know this. When you try to get them in the stroller, they do this. Stiff as a board. And so you're like, please don't think I'm a bad parent. You're trying to stuff them down in the stroller so you can, strap them in. But of course that kid strength goes away when you're like, dude, pick up your toys. They're like, I'm so tired. I can't lift my arms. I was standing in line for attraction, and there were a group of adults that were talking about how Mickey is just a person in a costume, and Santa isn't real. I was traumatized. Me and the other kids around us were like, what? Mickey's not real, Santa's not real, what is happening right now? So that's another thing I have to add to my list of what I need to talk to my therapist about. Trust me, I have a long list. No boundaries, no coping skills, daddy issues. I'm medicated. Basically a walking dumpster fire. One of the things on my list, though, is I used to be a stripper. And I became a librarian to get out of that life. Only to find out that a stripper and a librarian are very much the same. Both go around asking old white men for money. The stripper goes from table to table, and the librarian goes from legislator to legislator. Both have to kick drunks out of their building. Both get hit on by creepy guys all day. Both workplaces have things you can see and things you can touch, and things locked away that you can't see or touch. Both work with a copious amount of glitter. Now, librarians, we call glitter the herpes of craft supplies because you ain't getting rid of that shit. And both have to tell customers that they can't masturbate in the building. Wish that one was not true. But I have had a lot of success. We've started journaling. My journal reads like a Daddy Issues handbook. I've also learned that punching someone in the throat when they don't respect your boundaries is not appropriate behavior. And booking a Disney trip every time I'm sad is not an appropriate coping skill.
Don't trust that therapist.
Yeah, there's no room for that kind of negativity. But does anyone here wonder if we're just living in the Matrix? Yeah, I had a friend of mine who was like, what if we're living in the Matrix? I'm like, if that's the case, whoever's running my avatar fucking sucks. I mean, what are they, they built up their little inventory, a fancy sword and a bunch of gold coins and a house and a nice horse, and then suddenly, poof, chaos. No normalcy at all. I end up being an ex-stripper turned librarian living in the town who everyone knows as Poverty with a View, with a drinking problem and an incredibly expensive Disney addiction. That's it for me. Thank you. I'm Damaris.